look a little dark today. I have to figure out what's going on with my lights. I know I ordered some parts. Let me turn these on. Ooh, look at that. It's when we're recording. It's so weird because like it's the end of August. My kids went back to school already, which is way early for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into our conversation with Kevin in a little bit. This is the cold open. We talk about some BS, then we get into the episode. My kids started school early. And it's so weird because they're in school in August. And also, it has been cold in the morning here. Like, not like frigid, but like, low 60s.
Yeah.
So,
It was 57 here today.
Yeah. So I'm in my office. I actually have the door to my gym open. I have windows open so I can wear my new California Cool hoodie that I got while I was in Rehoboth Beach last week. And yeah, it's just awkward. It's like weird because like they're both home. And like now we got a 3-day weekend coming up ahead of us, and then they're going to be home for 4. So they have a 3-day week, then a 4-day week, then a 5-day week, and then they're off for 2 days for the Jewish holidays. Then they have a half a week, and then they're off another for Jewish. I'm like, what's going on here? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. If we could just bring some normalcy back to life, that would help.
I mean, to be honest, there's no reason why they shouldn't be in school 12 months of the year.
Well, we do that down here.
Do you?
Not for everybody. I don't know how they do it because our kids haven't been in school.
Are you talking about for the kids who have to go to summer school?
Well, they have year-round school here. So some of the schools actually operate year-round. And it does make it easier for those parents who, work, especially when both work, or for single parents who have to work. So
I also find it interesting because I've been doing some research because when we went away, Simone is going into first grade. And, she's like, ask me questions. And we're like, and so Michelle goes, how many continents are there? So I'll ask you this question, Eric. How many continents are there?
How many continents?
Yes.
Oh. I don't remember the number right off the top of my head. So like I have to count them. So, okay. 7.
Good.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right. Everybody,
so I know. I just
everybody who's listening. Everybody
I can't prove it to myself in my head right now.
Everyone who's listening just face palmed. Okay, so you say 7. That is correct. However, in other countries, it's not 7. So in Japan, for example,
is North America and South America
are one country, or sorry, one continent. North America, South America are one continent. They just call it Americas. So there's only 6 if you have someone who's Japanese schooled.
So it's a Pluto moment.
Oh, yeah. It is or isn't a planet.
Yes.
Yeah. Neil deGrasse Tyson will never be a guest on this show. Near.
Level up your email domain security and deliverability. Reduce business email compromise and reel in that pesky email phishing. Make DMARC a new revenue stream for your MSP. Becoming a managed service provider partner with EasyDMARC is a great opportunity for your business to boost sales and decrease risk. Your customers need DMARC. Your job is to let them know that their email domain might be at risk. Find out more today at atmsp.link/EasyDMARC. That's atmsp.link/EasyDMARC. Operating an MSP sucks. Gozinta is here to make it suck less. With their consulting services, they are your trusted advisors through every step of your MSP's journey, from startup to exit. And their software is crafted with care to ensure that they're solving problems for you and not creating new headaches. Find out more at atmsp.link/Gozinta. That's atmsp.link/Gozinta.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things MSP podcast. I'm your host, Justin Escar, and with me always is chin parmesan, flaky, crumbly, and always in your pasta, Mr. Eric Anthony. That thing is
except it is not flaky. I'm opposed to that. I'm
fine. I'll take it back. Sir Crust-a-Lot collects pizza crust like trophies. It's not about the beard getting in the food. It's about the food getting in the beard.
Yeah, but I take a lot of time to care for this beard.
You know who else doesn't take a lot of time to take care of their beard? Our guest. I love it when we have a guest. Mr. Kevin Lancaster, CEO of BetterTracker. You all know him. I don't need to introduce him. Kevin, hi.
Hello. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing well.
Eric's obviously
You know,
mad because I make fun of his beard every episode, but I'm fine.
there used to be a cottage industry at one point of beard grooming products, right? But now I think it's probably a multi-billion-dollar industry at this point. So you probably tons to choose from at this point.
Oh
Eric would
yeah. In
actually
fact,
buy better lights for his house, like Elgato's, instead of Neewer, if he wasn't spending so much on beard products.
uh-huh.
Mm.
Although I did have Sean Lardo, send me a beard straightener, which is great. That's helped out a lot.
Oh, you mean a
Of course,
flat
Sean would
iron?
do that.
Just piercing that stuff away. All right, enough about the beard talk. We got to talk about Kevin. Kevin, you've launched something new since we last spoke to you, BetterTracker. What's that about?
Yes, we have. No, and again, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. So what this is all about, right? So we started this journey, and most may know, from the old days with ID Agent, what we did with that platform and scaled it, and how we helped MSPs change how they sell security. That was a fun ride. But after I had sold that and left the company that had acquired that platform, so there's got to be a way to bring a little bit more organization to this industry in general. So we started with this channel program platform. We started to bring vendors together with MSPs, but we realized that the MSPs are still just absolutely struggling to effectively manage their business and all aspects of their business. And I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but so we launched a free tool about 2 years ago called Navistack, and basically it was a bingo card, right? Visualize everything that you have in your stack, see what you don't, see what your redundancies are, and that was wildly popular. I think we've got 3,000 MSPs that use that today. But to answer your questions, what we did is, as we started to see the MSPs starting to use that Navistack tool, we said, all right, what is the next problem we can solve? It's one thing to visualize what you have. It's another thing to be able to say, all right, well, here's my contracts. Here's what I'm doing with my customers. What are my expenses? What is my sprawl? And so in April of this year, we launched BetterTracker as kind of a beta. But in the last couple of months since we've launched it, we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of MSPs come in, and effectively what you do is you can kind of do that bingo card still with Navistack, but what's been great about it is that you can sync your bank account and your credit cards within a platform, and you can instantly see all the stuff that you're spending money on, right? So what we wanted to do is say, look, we know that there's a problem with sprawl, right? I've been on both sides of this industry. I've been an MSP, scaled that, been a vendor, scaled that, and from the vendor point of view, it's kind of the dirty little secret that you don't want, anybody to know when your renewals are, and you want to just have them renew in perpetuity. And then the other side of the equation is the MSPs are often looking at the next shiny tool, and they buy something, they forget about it, it gets renewed. And so we knew that was a major problem to solve within this industry. And so BetterTracker does that, right? You start to sync your bank account, your credit card, you see what your stack is, you start to see when your renewals are coming up, what your sprawl is, and then you can start to really chip away at your added expense. And that's what's been just been wild to see. I mean, we're up to $334 million in transactions in the first couple of months that we brought in and help catalog and help MSP organize. So it's having a massive impact on the industry again, which is pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Crazy to hear about those kind of numbers. The way I'm thinking about this, uh, people question why they would use it, right? And obviously, you can say there's the cost savings, which is a major piece of this, right? Find out where your duplication is, save some money. But immediately my mind went to M&A, because if you can save money, you're going to increase your profit, and therefore you can make your EBITDA higher, right? The big thing for EBITDA is obviously get more customers. But if you can't do that, lower your expenses and keep the customers you have. And I feel like this is a great way for MSPs who are looking to potentially, get their valuations up, to find where those expenses are and to get rid of those extra ones, the duplicates and things like that, as well as also, like you said, understanding when things are due up, which is a great way to get that 90-day notice in there to say, I'm going to cancel, or I want 5% off, or whatever it is.
Look, you're absolutely right. I mean, it is all about profitability, right? It's that's the silent killer in every business, right? Is the scope creep? It's the creep of subscriptions. But to the point of the M&A, if you've ever been through that process, one of the first things you do in due diligence is, it's a cavity search, right? You have to pull every contract that you have, not just every customer contract, but every contract, subscription, lease, everything, right? And so this effectively, from an M&A standpoint, helps you get your house in order
Yeah.
and stay organized. And look, it's one of the challenges early on, right, is that it's difficult, right? I mean, it is. We wish that we could automate every aspect of this, but it is an element. It is a little time consuming up front. It's not hard to sync all your transactions and everything coming in because that takes less than 5 minutes. But then there is that level of detail and organization that oftentimes some of the smaller MSPs, they don't have a dedicated person and they're off running the business. But it's often when they're getting close to that, having that conversation or looking at profitability or looking at M&A and saying, I really got to get my house in order. So we try to affect it on the front end of that curve versus at the last, the latter or the tail end of getting ready for that process. And so touch on some of the, I think, really cool things we've got coming out here coming up. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's the profitability and it's just running a smart business, and that's what a challenge for a lot of us that you know uh, didn't necessarily start out their careers and thinking about entrepreneurship and building a business. And it's you only learn that later on after you're done putting out all the fires, and then you realize you have to start working
To
on the
actually
business
run
and
a
growing
yeah,
the
we've
business.
we've talked
Yeah,
about this. Eric and I talk about this all the time, which is that so many MSPs got into this industry because they were good at computers and they forget the fact that
mhm,
they have these like business processes that they need to run.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's a great point because not only are, a lot of MSPs taking care of the technology, but they are helping their clients build a smarter business through technology. And it sounds like BetterTracker could actually be kind of resold to clients, maybe as a tool that the MSP is using to help wrangle in that stuff and provide more than just IT solution, more of a business solution.
yeah. Gosh, how long do we have in this? There's so much there that I could unpack. You're absolutely right. I mean, our kind of our talk track internally, right? And I promise I won't use any profanity, but it's the first thing is like get your blank in order, right?
Oh,
Get
you
your
can
house in
say it.
order.
Say it.
Yeah. Look, look, get your shit straight. Straighten out your business, get it in order, right? That's the first step. But you guys know this better than anybody, right? This industry is categorically changing whether you like it or not, right? AI, for better or worse, whatever iteration, variation is going to come in and it's going to make, in the short term, MSPs a little bit more efficient, arguably a lot more efficient and more profitable. But at the end of the day, and we've put out reports under channel program about just the commoditization of the stack and the commoditization of the MSP in general. So the margins, look good, but the large platform players are driving their margins, pricing down. It's ultimately, it's a race to the bottom from a margin standpoint. And what we've said is like first things first, get your house in order. But now the customer is hip to this, right? They understand that they have to, look at general areas of cost savings and efficiency. So take BetterTracker, and so instead of saying, hey, like, here's my stack, and here's how I'm just like every other MSP, in the neighborhood, right? Take BetterTracker to them and say, all right, let's sit down and understand what is your overall sprawl today, right? Run BetterTracker internally, get a grasp on everything that you use as a business, because again, MSPs are more often than not focused on their core stack, right? They're not thinking beyond, what they provide. And they should. So you sit down, you work with your customer or prospect, run BetterTracker, and start to get them to understand. Look, you're paying for 4 different project management tools, right? You're also paying for Slack, Teams, and Zoom all at the same time. Like, what's up, right? And we have dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of examples of that where an MSP is going in and having those conversations. And so you shift the conversation from, hey, I'm an MSP, here's my stack, here's my managed service, to, hey, here's how we're going to help optimize your business, right? Here's how we're different, right? We're thinking beyond just the core. We're going to keep your backups backing up and your email secure, what have you. We want to materially have an impact on your business. And I think the MSPs that aren't thinking that way or talking that way are just going to get this wave of AI and automation that race to the bottom. From a margin standpoint, it's gonna happen, and we've seen this in different iterations, different kind of cycles within this industry. And so, to your point, Eric, this is really about again getting your shit together internally, and then differentiating yourself to your customers and your prospects with this platform as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned using it as a prospecting tool, but I imagine that that might be a little bit of a hard sell to get a new prospect to enter their banking and credit card information in order to gather the results to analyze.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt that it's there's you have to navigate that conversation, but the way we've structured it, and again, this is kind of going back to the old ID agent playbook that we had, right? Where first thing we would say to the MSP, all right, here's all the compromised email addresses and passwords that are out there, right? Do something about it, get your blank together, right? And then you can run these scans on your customers. And if it's a customer, you can see the password because you should be proactive in letting your customers know that these passwords are out there. But if it's a prospect, right, the password would start out and you'd see just enough to know that, all right, got me, right? That's probably my password, but you're not seeing the whole password. The same thought process applies here, right? Where MSP signs up, they get 15 customer licenses, let's say, and you should be sitting down with your customer and saying, look, you know, you know, we need to understand your full technology portfolio. The customer actually has the little toggle switch in there and says, yeah, we can share this with our provider or we don't have to share it with our provider. So we put the control back in the customer's hand. From the prospect standpoint, we even take it a step further where we say, all right, again, if it's a customer, you can have that conversation with them. If they want to show you the actual expense, they can show it to you. But at minimum, you're going to see what's in their extended stack or their product portfolio. But from a prospect standpoint, we say, just simply send them this link, as a resell option, right? And we give an MSP 50% commission on the back end. I think we have like a, $20 or $30 a month discount for the prospect. And the message is, look, we run this tool with every one of our customers. We'd love to earn your business. So we've got this, amazing discounted, platform that we want to provide to you guys in BetterTracker. They start using that, and now you have actually an excuse to have a conversation with that once a prospect, now a potential customer. And so yeah, there still is that line, and depending on kind of the relationship with that prospect, it's helping the MSP inch that conversation further down the line. And so yeah, so it's we're very cognizant about that, especially with MSPs, and we're all challenged in how to position and sell at times, but you have to be different. This is what this is
Yeah.
all about. You have to go beyond that stack, and feel like this is an amazing way to do that.
So
Well, and
I have two things real quick. One is I think this is also a great tool, and I don't know if you've taken this perspective of it, but like when you're working with your customers and you go through this, that's a great way also to find out the stuff as an MSP that they're doing without you, right? The shadow IT world. Because I'm sure that I have clients who are paying for chat GPT licenses that do not tell me that they're paying for chat GPT licenses because that's literally what everyone's doing, right?
Mhm.
So I think there's a great opportunity there for an MSP to take that shadow IT look at things also and say, like, oh, you're paying for, in your example, Zoom, Slack, and Teams. Did you know that if you get Zoom through me as opposed to direct, I can actually save you money and we can tie these things together? So, like, knowing what they're paying for that you're not in charge of, I think is a big piece. The other piece that I wanted to bring up, uh, is a question actually for you, Kevin, is if a prospect is putting their information in, how does BetterTracker know the difference between a tech item and, let's say, the company Netflix account that shows up on the credit card?
All right, great question. Um, let me take. Well, I'll answer that. One, so what's been great about just channel program in general, we've spun effectively BetterTracker out of it, is that we spent the last 4 years, aggregating thousands and thousands of products, right? That MSPs were adding to their stack, or they wanted to do a product review, or the vendors coming in and adding their products to be, searched and visible. So we have a ridiculously large data set of technologies, and it got, was an interesting thing about Navistack is that what we thought it would just be that this kind of core MSP stack turned into, well, I want to add in my Canva, I want to add in my HubSpot, I want to add in my, you know, you name the tool. So it was every business application. So one, we have a very large, robust data set from that perspective, but then we also use some tools as well, some AI tools to help us categorize and normalize some of the things that are coming in. So we know that Netflix is more of a consumer, but if it's hitting the business credit card, then the business should really start thinking about, well, why is Netflix hitting the business card? But so we can catalog that that stuff reasonably well. Like some of the newer applications, it takes us time to get the
Right.
critical mass to be able to categorize them. But you touched on something that was really interesting, this concept of shadow IT, right? And we started this path, as I mentioned, with kind of more of a manual process where come in and add what you use to your stack and visualize it. And then we looked at it from a financial standpoint because we wanted to say, hey, look, that's the source of truth. There's one source of truth, and well, there's two sources of truth in your business. One is what the hell is coming out of your bank account or credit card every month, right? Like that is a absolute source of truth. The other one, for the most part, is what are your people using their Microsoft or credentials to authenticate to, and what tools are they using within their business with their Microsoft credentials. So in about about a week and a half from now, we'll launch a module that'll pull, sync with Azure, Active Directory, or 365, and pull in all of the applications that your business is authenticating to. And that's another aha moment, right? And I've admitted this publicly a couple times, but the first time we ran BetterTracker internally for us and we pulled in our bank accounts, I found $7,200 in a renewal that I thought was gone, right? So that was kind of the first like, oh crap moment for us. The second was, and we kind of knew this, but when we pulled in the beta and we started pulling in everything that we log into as a business, we found 107 applications that we log into, our employees authenticate to. Um, and I won't publicly embarrass Matt
I was gonna
now, but
call him out. No, you beat me to it. I was like, how quickly did you call Matt Solomon and be like, listen, we gotta get this thing fixed?
yeah, yeah. No, fortunately, it's very harmless. But the name of this actual tool, and I'll say it, the name of the tool was Donut, right? And I think it was like an add-in to a Slack. It was like a way to like recognize somebody in
Oh
Slack or
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I know Donut.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I saw this thing pop up. I'm like, what the hell is Donut, right? And I called Matt. I'm like, you got a donut problem? What's going on, right? Um, so
Meanwhile,
yeah,
is it just
here's
like,
this.
did you like pass around like a meme of like just Homer Simpson, but you just put Matt's face on it with just eating the donut?
I gotta, I don't know. I feel bad. I gotta stop picking on Matt. Um,
We love
but
Matt.
no, but seriously, right? The second source of the truth is like, what are your employees logging into? And I think this is one of those aha moments because, look, every MSP has access to it, right? Every technician or admin has access to what your people are logging into, but they don't think about it.
Right.
And so we've got this integration now. And first thing it does, it surfaces, right? It categorizes them, right? And then you can assign the tool to a specific department, but better yet, you can assign it to a specific owner. It's like, who owns this product? Who owns this renewal, right? And so when you start to marry those two sources of truth together, right, that's powerful, right? Because again, you see what you're using and who's using it, and you start to see what the hell you're paying for. And that's generally visibility that the companies just don't have. It's a complete blind spot, right? And I think some of the trick is, for larger organizations, it's things are siloed, right? IT is IT, and finance is finance, and operations is operations, right? But at some point, you got to start bringing these things together because that's where, you bring them together. That's where you find the 20 to 30% savings in a business, and that is absolutely material for especially every SMB. When you can start to see this is what we're using, this is what we're, unfortunately, our employees have authenticated to. That is the shadow IT, and should we approve this or should we say this is unauthorized? That helps with efficiency, that helps with security, and that helps with your financial or fiduciary responsibility. And so this is why we kind of it took a roundabout way to get here with kind of the Microsoft, but we figured like the first thing is first, right? Again, same thing with ID Agent back in the day. We had the early version of that was very, very, I would say, complex, right? Because we had the command and control server, the languages, the malware strains, the variants, and it was overkill for the industry, the MSP industry. So we focused on the password, and with this, we started with say, all right, let's focus on visualizing what you have first, and then let's layer in what the hell are you spending your money on, and then let's layer in what your people are logging into, and find those gaps in between. And so yeah, that's where we've evolved to with this platform. And like I said, it's that to have this level of an impact on the industry in effectively 4 months, right? We've kind of been beta in this, and I think the early version was called My IT Spend because we were just really more focused on the IT spend. But again, as it started to evolve, we started to see like, MSPs want to track their lease, they want to track their customers, they want to track, just about everything. And that's why we went with a broader name called BetterTracker. So
Yeah, no, I'm really digging with the ideas here, and I'm thinking about like how you know companies don't even realize when vendors are upping their prices, right? Like they like sure we'll get an email from a vendor being like, your price is going up by X%. And you're like, I don't even know what that translates to in dollars. This will immediately help us figure that out. And I do like the idea of it being a customer focused tool as opposed to just the MSP, right? Because I think, and this is like, let's call it a spade here, Kevin. Everybody knows you're a genius. ID Agent was an amazing product. We still use it, unfortunately, with whoever. But like, if this is coming out of your brain, like obviously this is something that MSPs use, and the idea that you are customer focused as well as MSP focused, which is where I think a lot of uh, tools that are for MSPs seem to just lock in only on the MSP. The fact that BetterTracker can be used as a tool by MSPs for their customers, brilliant move. Brilliant move. Bravo to you for that. And I think that MSPs can really gain like a foothold because, we've talked about this before on the show. A good MSP, I'm not saying that we are, but a good MSP has a seat at the table and talks about things like budget. And like there's an easy way to do that and a hard way to do that. And it looks like BetterTracker has now given us an easy way to do that because now we can go in, we can categorize their spend, we can tell the customer what they're doing, pick up those items that they're paying for that you don't know about, and then realizing that you're duplicating on those services. There's so much there. I would love to see it integrate with Google because we're a Mac shop and we like our Google, but I know you'll get there. I also don't need it running it on my thing telling me that I've signed into Pokemon Go with my work Google account because it's been my email since I've been 14 years old, but whatever. Fine.
yeah, we won't call you out. But yeah, no, definitely roadmap. Because we've heard we've heard the hand raisers about the G Suite,
All
and
three of
we
us.
will. Yeah, no, it's yeah, sure, Microsoft got the lion's share of the industry, but yeah, there's enough out there that makes it absolutely a requirement for us to go down that path.
Yeah.
But look, that's ultimately I I don't know. I tell people, look, I used to think I was the smartest person in the room, but I realized I never was, and I have a history degree. So I don't know. I try to simplify things as much as possible. Like try to bring things down to the most basic or common level. And the fact that I've been on I don't know 4 sides of this marketplace, right? I built a large IT services company and exited that, and then built ID Agent, on the vendor side, exited that, ran go to market at a large unnamed vendor, and invested and advised a lot of the MSPs and vendors in this space. And so I spent a lot of my time thinking like, what what are the problems that are not solved? That's it's a hard thing to do, and so I've been extremely lucky, been extremely fortunate to surround myself, with people like Matt, throughout the years that make me look smarter than they actually am, I guess. So yeah,
It's always nice to give
yeah,
Matt and if anyone's listening doesn't know who we're talking about Matt Solomon. He's worked at ID Agent. He worked for the company we won't talk. He works at Channel Programs. He's been working with Kevin. He's been Kevin. I don't know if you wouldn't consider him your right hand man, but like Matt's good people. And if you don't know Matt, you should go find him and hit him up on LinkedIn and offer him a donut, I guess.
and I thought you were going to be nice. No, look, it's been awesome. I mean, Matt started working for me, gosh, 10, 11 years ago in DC at the consulting IT platform, and then um, I mean, he became the face of ID Agent, just leaned into that, and then
Yeah.
he's done just an amazing a job in his career and his ability to connect and add value and what have you. And so he's a equity partner in this business. So it's been I don't know, I'm gonna make this the Matt show, but it's been amazing though. It's been great to watch Matt's evolution, from, kind of just, sales to, what Matt is today. And I'd argue he's probably one of the most important people in this industry because um, he's so genuinely dedicated to helping, the MSPs
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's enough nice things I'll say about
Let's
him.
go back to we'll go back to bashing.
Yeah, yeah. So
All right, what do you got?
Oh, I just think that this is a great tool and opportunity for MSPs from an upsell standpoint. This can help MSPs make that transition from a commodity IT service provider to an actual business partner when it comes to helping their clients just run a smarter business.
look, that's fundamentally it, right? It, I think I don't know. Careful I say this as well, because again, part of the appeal of ID Agent back in the day was the fear factor, right? It was like, come in and over the last 10 years, a lot of the sales literature and the industry has gone to, selling, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I think in general, I think, the business landscape or the, especially even the sort of younger businesses that are coming up, the next generation, like they're kind of tired of it, I guess, to a degree. And so I think it's important. There's definitely important, and security will always be security, and we're always going to be kind of playing whack-a-mole with that. But I think it's additive value, right? It's differentiating, it's going beyond the stack. And if you can take an existing customer and start to use this tool to expand the scope of what you see, and then inevitably expand the scope of what you're able to sell to the customer, then that's how you build trust. That's how you build, long-term enterprise value with a customer. And then the same thing. That's why when we have that kind of prospecting capability or kind of reseller, level as well, right? It's hard to go in and just scare people and scare people and scare people into submission, and it's and present company definitely excluded, but I see dozens of MSPs every week, right? And they all still sound and sell and look the exact same, right? And it's like, how do you differentiate? And in our opinion, is that you differentiate by being different, right? Going in and talking about not just the stack, talking about every technology that they use and where you can help find efficiencies and where you can help find cost savings. And so if you can go into a prospect and demonstrate, value and cost savings from the jump, I mean, you know, maybe I'm oversimplifying, but at that point, it's like, why would they not work with you at that point,
Yep.
right? Because
Yep.
who else is going in there and saying, hey, let's first, let's identify, your redundancies. Let's find where we can optimize and their cost savings, and then, hey, all right, now you're a customer of ours, and now you have every reason to start having, more regular conversations and start to get into the services that you provide. So, yeah, I'm pretty simple person, I guess, and I think in simple terms, and so far so good with this one. So
So what's something like BetterTracker going to cost the MSPs, and ideally something that they can upsell? Like what are we talking about in terms of dollars?
yeah, I think the list price that we had out there is $299 a month. It's 15 customers, and that's unlimited. Using that reseller model, and it's unlimited. But the great thing about it is that I think I think comes out if you resell it to 3 prospects. It's 4 prospects. You pay for the entire platform. They pay for all your, your existing 15 customers, your license. So we kind of built it in a way where it was like an absolute no-brainer. And then on the enablement side, we built all the done for you, marketing. That was, I think, one of the coolest things about, going back to ID Agent is that we had, basically we had playbooks, we had all the white label materials, we had the
Yep.
campaigns, and with this, you sign up, you got 12 months of campaigns. They're all timely, they're all topical. We've got all the materials, webinars, everything. So try to do this in a way where it's the ROI, you achieve it, 3, if not 4 different ways, but you achieve it because you're finding cost savings and redundancy internally, and you're doing it for your customers, and you're using it to grow, prospects and convert them to customers as well. So yeah, so I think 299 is kind of the list price, and that there's some discounts with some of the peer groups out there. Different ways to bring that down. I think 199 a month, but yeah, we just wanted to price it affordable and just continue that mission of just helping everybody just figure this thing out and grow.
Awesome. BetterTracker.com, I'm assuming.
BetterTracker.com. Yep.
Cool.
And that's it.
Gavin, always a pleasure having you on, man. I love everything that you come up with. Like I said, we can give Matt all the credit, but we know where the brains are. It's
I can't wait for him to
sitting on this call with us. Matt's not here, so I'm going to make fun of him. That's what he gets. I don't know.
Well, good thing. So Matt's actually out in Glacier right now. They sent a note this morning around 8 a.m. He's like, I'm not going to have any cell coverage, any reception, any connectivity. So I've got at least a good 4 days of like getting jabs in on a Matt right now. So
just send him every 5 minutes. Just set up every 5 minutes. Send like the fire emoji, and then when he comes back, be like, "Oh no, we figured it out."
That's cruel, but that's actually brilliant. Yeah.
Eric, any final words?
Just that I think, again, this is an opportunity for MSPs to evolve and upgrade themselves to that next stage of being more than an MSP. I mean, we've got AI coming into this, but we just can't ignore the business process side of things that technology just touches day after day after day and has such an influence on.
Yeah. Nailed it in one. Well, Kevin, thanks so much for being here. If you like what you heard so far today, check out BetterTracker.com. Shoot an email to Kevin, DM Matt. They're all on the internet. You can find them. That's what it is. If you want to find out more about us, Facebook.com/group/All Things MSP. Watch this in its great YouTube glory and watch how I spilt my drink on myself mid-interview. YouTube.com/@allthingsmsp. If you find it and you know exactly the minute it happened, Eric will send you a sticker. Follow us on all your favorite podcasting tools. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. You know the drill. That's Eric. That's Kevin. I'm Justin. Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching the All Things MSP podcast. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Hit that like button and consider subscribing to catch all our weekly episodes. And from your host extraordinaire, Justin Escar, and myself, Eric Anthony, your humble producer and All Things MSP founder, thank you very much for spending your time with us. If you are not aware, All Things MSP started as a Facebook group and now supports over 6,000 members. We also have a LinkedIn page for those of you who don't do Facebook, and make sure to check out our YouTube channel for even more content. And a big thank you to our premier sponsors, EasyDmark, Helped, Goes Into, MoveBot, and Nodeware. And thank you to the rest of our sponsors. Without sponsors, we could not do what we do for the MSP community. Please consider checking them out. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of any employer, vendor, sponsor, or random taxi driver in the Metro DC area. Be sure to join us next week for another exciting episode.